All praises to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Makar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. And this is going to be a lesson on how the financial system has been like being corrupted, and how the food and all of these things has been corrupted based on the financial system, right? And how divers' manners and divers' weights are an abomination unto the Lord, and how the way how this financial system runs is against the scriptures completely, right? It's completely against the scriptures in most regards, man. Now, the first I want to say, I'm gonna read this scripture, Exodus chapter 22 and verse 25. If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not be to him as an usurer, neither shalt thou lay upon him usury, which usury means interest, right? So if I give an Israelite £1,000, for example, yeah, I can't say to that Israelite, okay, I'm gonna give you £1,000, and you've got to give me £1,000 and 1 pence back even. No, they got to give me back the £1,000. And then even there's certain laws in regard to that, where if it's the year of release, that debt's over, right? Every 7 years it would be, I believe it's every 7 years it's the year of release. But how this world will work is people will borrow money to their family, Jake will borrow money to their family and then put usury on it, right? But we're only supposed to do the usury thing or the interest thing on another nation, right? But Esau, he's such a demon that he puts it on his own people and us, right? He puts it on his own people and us, man. But that would allow a completely different world if people only put it on a heathen nation, because it would allow brotherhood more among people's own nations, man. It would allow more unity from one nation from it within a nation itself, so that people would rather do business with their own people than do business with the heathen. Whereas in this world, it's basically no difference to doing business with the heathen or your own people, to us, especially among Jake, especially among our people, man. Now let me go to this scripture as well. Proverbs 20:10. This is Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 10. Divers weights and divers measures, both of them are like an abomination to Yahweh. Now, the dollar, I remember I've heard the apostles and I've heard elders and I've heard brothers say that the dollar, I didn't know this originally, that the dollar is a dollar, a dollar is a measure of weight. But obviously we know that a pound, which we use over here in the United Kingdom, is a measure of weight, right? And then I believe a kilogram is 2.2 pounds, right? But a pound is a measure of weight, right? 14 pounds make a stone. You see what I mean? But there's no such financial currency called a stone, to my knowledge, right? But in over here, if you have a pound, right? Well, a pound used to be able to get you chocolate crisps and a drink. And I don't believe that I'm particularly old, neither am I particularly young. But I remember a time when a pound coin, one of them gold-looking pound coins, could get you a chocolate bar, a packet of crisps, and a drink. Now, right now, if you get given a pound coin, you gotta pick one. If you have a pound coin now, you gotta pick one. But when you was a kid back in the day, if you found a pound coin on the floor, and you're young and that, you've kind of had a come up, man. You've can feed yourself a pretty decent amount of food for the next like at least hour. You can get a cone of chips, chicken and chips or something like that. I don't know if in the Midlands you was able to. I don't know if that was the same prices over in anywhere else in the United Kingdom, but in the Midlands you could get a whole chicken and chips, doner meat and chips, which for whatever that's worth to say doner meat and chips, but you used to be able to get that, and I think you used to be able to get chicken tikka and chips and that for a pound, man, for £1 coin. Whereas right now, that's ancient. What that's like a myth to be even hearing about anything like that now. But the point I'm making is that the Coca-Cola and all of these different things have changed. Like they've actually got smaller in size, but somehow you have to pay more for them now. Showing that the measures of the weights, which is supposedly a pound, the measures of the weights and the measures of the food is off, because now the chocolate bar is smaller, but it's worth more now. Or it's the same size, but it's worth more now. Which don't make no sense if the pound is really truly a pound of measure. You see? A pound of measure would be, okay, a pound of gold, for example, yeah, should always be able to get you the same amount of apples, for example, which is a true thing. An apple's an apple. It don't change really. It's an apple. So if a pound, let's say a pound of gold could get you a certain measure of apples. Let's just say a pound of gold could get you 1 kilogram of apples, right? There shouldn't come a time in the future where a pound in weight of gold now can only get you 1 gram of apples. That's a false balance. That's an abomination. Because what's the change about? What's the change, man? Now, in terms of the usury thing, like I said before in the scriptures, you're allowed to put usury on a heathen. So if a heathen wants money from you and wants a loan, you can say, okay, I gave you 1,000, I want 1,500 back. And if they got a problem with that, don't ask you for the money. Simple as that. And that's one of the ways how in the kingdom of heaven, we are as Israelites going to be able to become outstandingly rich. Outstandingly rich, man. Yahweh's more than, in my opinion, well, it's not even really my opinion, it's prophecy. But I'm saying how I think it's going to come to pass, that Yahweh is going to literally create new reserves in the ground by where we can get gold out of it, man. Because the way how we're going to be living in the world, we're going to change the whole way how the world is. So wherever it is in the depths of the earth that gold comes from, by the Israelites being in charge on the earth, all them places where gold grows and where gold exists on earth, it's going to be increased. Because there's already a lot of that stuff really in this world right now, and it's under wickedness. So how much more is all them natural minerals going to improve and grow out of the earth when the world's righteous, man? Trees are going to be bigger, animals are going to be bigger, right? Healthier, which is going to mean that the earth in itself is going to be healthier. And in that, there's going to be a great increase in what the earth produces, man. The earth's going to produce better everything, man. The oxygen is going to be different. The grass is going to be different. The soil is going to be different. The water is going to taste different. The wine is going to taste different because the grapes are going to be different. Remember, it says in the scriptures, and Salakia, I can't remember exactly where, but it says in the scriptures that it used to take 2 strong men to carry a cluster of grapes. So if you type in on Google or something like that, 2 strong men, cluster of grapes, Bible verse, you'll find that verse that I'm talking about, man. And you'll see that it used to take 2 strong men to carry a cluster of grapes back in the ancient world. But the kingdom of heaven rulership is going to be greater than any time that you can read about in the ancient world. And when you read about the time of Solomon, you'd almost want to go back there if it didn't mean that we would not get the kingdom. But the kingdom of heaven is going to be greater than the time of old. It's going to be way better. Proverbs chapter 20 and 10 again, divers weights and divers measures, both of them are like an abomination to Yahweh. Now, some people might have not have understood what I was saying about the comparing the weights to the fruit and stuff like that. Like a pound of gold should always be able to get you the same amount of food if it's the same weight, right? That's how it's not an abomination. The prices should stay the price, right? But when the price is changed, and people might say, oh, but there's a higher demand and all that, whatever, man. I understand those things, but I'm making a point of that's a thing, because just imagine, for example, right, that they changed the tape measure. Just imagine right now, they changed the tape measure to where an inch now is like, an inch right now is what, 2.5 centimeters? But imagine if they changed the inch to be 2 centimeters instead of one. I mean, instead of 2.5 centimeters, or to change the inch to now be 1.5 centimeters, right? That would mean now would that mean now that men that are normally 5'8" or something like that, now they'd be coming as being 6 foot, right? Or close enough. They'll be coming up to being 6, but then men that are now 6 foot, they're going to be classed according to this new tape measure now as being 6.3 maybe plus. You see what I mean? Or imagine if they change the scales to where now one stone is now £10 instead of 14 pounds. Well, that would mean now in boxing and stuff like that the heavyweight division would change. Because now there's going to be smaller men in that come into the weight division that's classed as heavyweight. There'll be smaller men in there. Because they'd now be classed as being heavier. Because the weight would have changed by £4. So now instead of being a stone is £14, it would be a stone's 10. Imagine if they just started changing what a week was, which they've done in the past. There used to be a time where a week was considered 5 days. Now a week's considered 7 days. According to this world, right? A month is sometimes 28 days, right? But then sometimes it's 30 days. And then sometimes it's 31 days. And then the next month after that, it's 30 days again. And then the next month after that, it's 31 days, right? That's bugged out. Because the moon ain't changing what it's doing in the sky like that. So how the hell has 1 month got a couple of days in it and another one's got another? Another thing is, when it comes to the months, right? According to the scriptures, March is the first month. And even when you hear the sounds of the months, right? September, a septagon is a 7-sided shape. An octagon is an 8-sided shape, right? And nov would be 9. And a decagon, right, is 10. But somehow December is somehow the 12th month. Like but if you look back in the past, that's not how they was doing it though. They was doing it a different, where March is the first day of the year. And you can look it up. But they change things around all the time, man. They change measures. Would now, if they go back to the tape measure thing that I said, if they now made an inch be 1.5 centimeters instead of 2.5, would women all of a sudden, when they're saying they want a 6-foot man now, right? Would the same women that were saying they want a 6-foot man, would they now look at the man that's used to be 5'10", 5'9", 5'8", and if they've that measures, but they had to change their height to now coming up at 6 foot, would they now say, oh, that man's tall enough? No, they wouldn't, right? But for some reason, when it comes to the food and stuff like that, people don't understand how they're changing that. If £5 used to be able to get you this burger that's exactly the same size as what it was previously, there shouldn't be a situation where the burger is changing in price. And again, I understand people are going to say supply and demand, or this guy doesn't understand. I'm saying what's supposed to be going on, not how this wicked ass world is, where inflation is just a thing that people just thinks normal. That's not normal. Inflation is wicked, right? The way how it is to buy a house in this world is wicked, man. If someone's trying to buy a £200,000 house, by the time they finish paying for it, they're going to have bought a house that's cost over $500,000. But people say, oh, but that's just how things are. Yeah, and how things are wicked. Let's get a scripture, man. Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 4. Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 4. They that forsake the law praise the wicked. So every single time someone says, forget the laws of Yahweh, this is the way how things are in this world. I'm not an idolist. This is just the way how things are in this world. You're accepting wickedness and you're allowing the way that's wicked, the way that's corrupt, to influence the world. You're allowing for it to be a thing that's wicked. Every time someone's talking about some my body, my choice, when it comes to women being able to unalive their children that are growing on in their womb, you're actually accepting of wickedness, man. Every time someone says, oh, that a man should just get over it if his woman's committed adultery, right? And he should just get over it if he has to lose half his wealth over some adulteress and it. Mate, you're a demon. You're accepting of the wickedness. But such as keep the law, contend with them. But in this world, people don't even want us to talk about what the law of Yahweh is. Never mind for us to actually keep it. They don't even want us to talk about it, man. This world don't even want to be told you're not supposed to eat pork. Never mind to see us actually follow that law and not eat it. This world don't want to be told that a woman's supposed to wear modest apparel. She should be able to have a gal them leg out, gal them foot out, gal them batty crease hanging out, gal them chest out, gal them neck out, gal them in push-up bra. They should be able to do all that. And every man's supposed to contain himself and not look at her unless he's handsome enough to where she wants him to look at her. That's what this world says should happen. But where's that in the scriptures? Because by a woman dressing like that, that can lead to men being covetous. That can lead to men thinking adulterous thoughts in his mind, in his heart. But this world would say, nah, forget that. Because this world praises the wicked. But then everyone wants to talk about how they're Christian. Women want to talk about they want a man of God and all of this. No, you don't, man. No, they don't want a man of God. They don't even know what a man of God is talking about. They don't want no man of God. What are you on about? Since when have they wanted a man of God? Since which part of the world, man? Since which part of the world are people displeased with the financial system? These people just try and navigate it, and once they find a way to break the certain threshold to where they're considered peed up now, or I've got the peas now. Now they want to start talking about the community. You see, the thing about our community, yeah, is that they just don't work hard enough. Mate, you only been making that amount of money 3 or 4 months. Relax yourself. Don't try and go on like you're some big boy tycoon because you're killing up yourself doing enough hours in a week. And your spine might not have 10 years left. But the way how this world is, everyone just on a proud thing when as soon as they break the threshold to make money. And now it's, they start telling men that they need to start working this and working that. Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 1. As false balance is an abomination to Yahweh, but a just weight is his delight. And even in this world, the way how the relationship thing goes is not a just weight. It's not a just weight or a just balance. The way how the financial thing goes is not a just weight and a just balance. The way how the dietary thing goes is not a just weight and a just balance. People in this world actually mock people for getting into their health. People in this world praise women for being obese, right? But they don't praise men for being obese. Women are a 10 no matter what for just being alive. You know what I mean? A woman can say, a woman that's closer to being a 10 than, which I don't believe, I want to say all that 10 stuff, but a woman that's close to being a 10, if you want to say that, in attractiveness levels, would stand right next to a woman that's clearly not looking nothing like her of any, and not clearly doesn't meet the top beauty standard in any race, and she'll be standing right next to that woman talking about she's a 10 and she's a queen. Yes, yes, yes. And you're there thinking that, what are you on about? Like, what a queen or what, mate? Like, what are you on about? Like, why is this acceptable? That's an unfair balance, because a men, they wouldn't accept that the man's that when he's saying it, because it's not true for either person saying it. But forget that anyway. Let me go back to the money thing, man. Right, the just weights, the way how the financial thing works in this society is off. And the more you study it and look into it, you're like, man, this thing's corrupt, man. Like, because of the scriptures, I started looking into that whole mortgage thing and how Esau does all of that. And I was like, man, these people are demons. I was looking into that whole insider trading thing and how much crazy wealth these people can get from that stock market thing, from insider trading, and it's corrupt. And recently, the president of America was talking about how some of them people that was in the room with him, I don't know who them guys were, about how one made Salakia, about how one made 2 billion and the other one made 900 million. And they ain't even been doing that tariff thing for that long. That ain't even been going on that long. Trump still hasn't been president yet for 100 days, man. It's going to be the 100th day on April 30th. And then I believe that their plan is to do that year-long celebration thing on May the 26th. From May the 26th 2025, going into like June 2026, right? Which I guess you could potentially think that some of the money that he was trying to get from that tariff thing and all that was so that they could try and bring that stupid ass idea to pass, right? And use that to try and fund that if they actually do go through with trying to do that, which I think they might try and do it, but we're gonna see if they actually do try and go through with that year-long celebration thing, man. Because they even had a thing called T Rump 100, right? They were that guy's last name and then 100, and it's gonna be the 100th day on the 30th, I believe. Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 10 again. Divers weights and divers measures, both of them are like an abomination to Yahweh, right? But how this world works is it's divers weights all the time. It's divers weights all the time, man. One minute, one food item costs one price. The next thing, the food item costs another price because the financial system, the weight, the measurement of it, the worth of it is ever changing. The worth of the currency that people are using, what they're trading for items, is ever changing. But you notice though that it always becomes less in this world. It never becomes more. I ain't never once in my lifetime seen that pound coin thing that I mentioned earlier, that it go back closer to being that, to where a pound coin can get you this, and this. And another measure you can use is that that Tesco's meal deal or that Sainsbury's meal deal and all that, right? That Sainsbury's meal deal thing has gradually got further and further away. In fact, you know what, man? The Tesco's meal deal thing is like almost what the pound coin thing used to be, because you can get like a chocolate and a drink or crisps in that Tesco meal deal, right? But back in like maybe the early 1990s, right? That meal deal thing, if it would have existed back then, I'm not too sure. That would have been closer to like £1.50 at £2 maybe. Would have been around about that price. Whereas now, it's around like 4 to like, I don't know, £6, £7 or something like that. And some people might say, "Oh, why does this guy just know the prices of everything, man? This guy is broke. That's broke behavior, mate. If you don't know the prices of things, you're dumb. Well, I ain't gonna say you're dumb, but that's just a stupid way to do things because things cost money. You know what I mean? And unless you're crazy wealthy, you have to worry about the cost of things, man. And that's why you've got people that are making 100,000 a year complaining that they ain't got enough money. But if you was to see how these people spend their money, you'd be like, I'm not surprised. You're trying to live like you're a billionaire, or you're trying to live like you're a millionaire when you're not one. But they have to try and flex the wealth because what they're doing to make that money is wicked a lot of the time, right? They've screwed a whole bunch of people over to get that job. So then now when they got that car and finance that they're killing themselves over, yeah, they got to spend it and got to drive it crazy down the street because they got to let people see them. They got to try and think that someone's jealous of them because they looked at them in their car, as if people don't just look around when they're on the street to see who's around them. You know what I mean? For safety reasons more so than anything else. But they'll assume that the people are looking at them in their car because they're jealous. They wish they was in my car with me. They wish they had this. When they ain't really, if we're being real, there ain't really nothing to be jealous of from you people in this world because we know what the end result is going to be for you. That you're going to all take the MOTB, man, and get destroyed. But still, we have to talk about the financial system and how it is corrupt, man. But nobody really cares about that. They don't, the everyday people don't really care. And they just would rather be inflation chasers. As long as I can make sure that my wealth continually matches at least what it used to, then I don't care if the price is going up and everything because I've beat inflation this year and all I've got to do is just beat inflation next year and then beat it the next year. And I've just got to keep making more and more and more and more and more forever. Even if that means I got to work and only sleep 1 hour a day, I just got to keep beating inflation year on year. That's how people say. They don't ever think, you know what, the financial system needs to change, because I should be able to I should be able to have this career path or this particular job where I make this amount of money and should at the end of it be able to buy a house. I don't think some of these people actually understand that houses at one time would have been like maybe 50,000 and below. There used to be a time where houses was like 50,000 and below. There used to be a time where to go to university, you did not have to pay. I don't think a lot of these people actually understand these things. There used to be a time where I've heard my mother told me that when she would have been younger, university and these kind of that was free. And there would have been a time where you could just leave a job and go and get a next one, and it wouldn't have been no low level job neither. It would have been high level ones. But now, thanks to all this AI and all of these things, a lot of you people are gonna think you're in a secure situation now. You're gonna find that actually no, you're not in a secure situation, man. It's gonna go like that. It's going to get like that, man. Even down to you women that you think you're on all this OnlyFans and all that, and you think you found a loophole to make some money. Nah, because these man are making AI out of all of that. The AI, Salakia, the screen keeps changing. The AI thing's so bugged out. The AI thing's so bugged out, right? That an AI was talking to one young Jake, making him think it was gonna be with him, but they ain't even nothing to be with. It was an AI. And it caused him to unalive himself, man. It basically told him to. It basically told him to. That's how bugged out the AI is. And that things like that show you just how annoying and wicked women are as well, because why didn't he want to go out and try and actually meet up with any of the teenage girls that was his age? You see what I mean? Why didn't he want to do that? Proverbs chapter 20 and 10 again. Divers weights and divers measures, both of them are like an abomination to Yahweh. And that's how it goes in this world, man. The prices of things are just ever changing. And I'm speaking about the basic things like food. The prices of those things, considering the pound if it's £10, that would mean it's £10 and a pound's a weight. So then if someone's buying one burger that's got a quarter pounder in there, right? And a one slice of cheese that would meet a certain measurement size again. And a burger bun that again comes as a measurement size, right? Well, then that item, once they've made that price, should always be staying the same price. Why would it be changing price for it? It's the same thing. And you're receiving the same thing back for it. And that's why in the kingdom of heaven, man, the way how we deal with even the heathen financially is going to be completely different, man. Like people are already starting to notice that Esau's dodgy because they've seen how the Moabites do their cars, China and that. They've seen how they do their cars and they've been like, hang on. So you're trying to tell me I could get this car for this price if I lived here, but then when I go to America, this car's this amount? And people are starting to notice, but there's one Chinese Jake, China Mac, that I've been watching some of the stuff that he does, and he's in Vietnam, right? And he was going into how for 10,000 a month in Vietnam, he can live like, he said, what did he say, man? He said, I can live like I'm King Tut up in this bitch if I want to, right? He said something like that. But he said if it was in America, which he's from New York, I believe he said, that he wouldn't be able to live like that for 10,000. Even people over, let's just use the United Kingdom for an example, man. Somebody that makes, oh no, man, let's say 75 grand a year in Birmingham or Manchester, right? Or Liverpool, Sheffield. Let's use those places. They would be living a completely different life to somebody that makes that same amount living in London, right? Even from Reading to London is a completely different lifestyle, and you can get a train. What Reading's been made to be part of the underground system of London. It's actually a stop now on the London Underground. Get to live in Reading is completely different, really, than living in London, For real London, man. It's completely different. It's not even the same. London is not even the same place as anywhere else in the country of England. It's not the same place. But every time I've went to that place, it's different than anywhere else I've ever stepped my foot on in the United Kingdom, man. It's completely different than anywhere else in England. So much different, yeah. That if you live in London, right, and then come out, and anyone that's from London, they will be able to attest to this, right? If you live in London, travel around in London for a year, not even a year, 6 months, right? 6, 7 months, and then you come out of London and go to anywhere else in England, the speed in which you walk will be completely different. The way in which you approach an escalator will be completely different. You'll now become annoyed that people are standing on the escalator not moving. Whereas in London, once you get on that escalator, people start hitchhiking up that escalator, man, like they're climbing Mount Everest and that. They start marching up that escalator, man. And you hear the metal clanking underneath their feet. Ping, 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 ping. They're running up that shit. Whereas in more relaxed cities, they just stand on it, both sides, relaxing, just waiting for the escalator to do what it does. Travel you up there without you walking. That's what happens. Because it's a completely different place, man. But 75 grand should technically be able to allow you to buy the same things within the same place. It should. Like if a 1 bedroom house is exactly the same size rooms in one city, right? And then you go to another city and a 1 bedroom house that's exactly the same size. It's not like the 1 bedroom house is like a small shack. No, it's the same size bedroom, exactly the same size bedrooms, right? It should technically allow you to buy the exact same product because the money's the same. It's not like the price that you pay is different. It would be 100. The price would be in pounds over here in parts of the Midlands, for example. So then why wouldn't the product be the same if it's the same size? And now some people might say, oh, this guy don't know what he's talking about. But that's because they've just became used to this world, man, which is corrupt. And Yahweh's made it like this deliberately so that we can hate this place, man. He's made it like that on purpose, right? It's deliberately like this for us. Haggai chapter 1 and verse 2 does speak of Yahweh of hosts saying, these people say the time is come that this time is not come that Yahweh's house should be built. Then came the word of Yahweh by Haggai the prophet, saying, is it time for you, O ye, to dwell in your sealed houses, and this house lie waste? So is it time for us as Israelites right now to just be singing up and living in our kingdom? On this side of things? No, it's not. Right? It wasn't back then, and it's not now either. Verse 5, now therefore thus saith Yahweh of hosts, consider your ways. You have sown much, right? You do hard. Like, we ain't lazy, man. People might accuse us of being lazy. We ain't lazy. When we get into anything that we get into in any kind of thing, we do our hard work, man. But what does it turn into? And bring in little. You eat, but you have not enough, right? Why? Because the balance of the food's even off. The nutrition of value in the food, how it used to be, is not even the same no more. It's not even the same. They've changed the balance of it, man. But ye have not enough, ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Nothing's the same as it used to be, man. They changed it all, man. If you was to compare what Adam and Eve would have experienced in terms of fruit and vegetables and herbs to what we're eating, compare that to the animals that they was eating to what we're eating, mate, you might have been shook to see a lamb back in them times. You might be like, why the hell is it so big? It looks like it's going to eat me. Never mind me eating it. You would have been scared to see a bumblebee. Back then, it might have had a stinger the size of our middle fingers. Back then, everything would have been bigger, man. And I'm just using my imagination to think about what the ancient world would have been like. The very first Earth, the very very first. And I'm not saying the very first Earth as in the Earth, like the Earth no more. I'm saying the very first atmosphere on the Earth, man, to live in that when everything was new, when everything had not been tainted by any sinning. What would it have been like to compare then? And we're gonna get to find out, because when you go to Ezekiel 36, which since I've said it, I'm gonna show it. Right, I'll show that scripture. That's a beautiful thing to bring out. Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 35. And they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden. And that's talking about the land of Israel is going to become like the Garden of Eden once the real Israelites end up back there. Ask yourself, is the land of Israel like the Garden of Eden right now? Or is it more like a war zone that's destroyed, man? And a pile of rubble in a lot of parts of it. And the waste and desolate ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited. Ain't it talking about building that place up? Building up Gaza. Ain't it talking about that? Why would they have to do that if it's already built up? Why? Verse 36, and the heathen that are round about you shall know that I, Yahweh, build the ruined places and plant that was desolate. I, Yahweh, have spoken it and will do it. Has it happened yet? No. But it's going to happen because Yahweh is going to do it. They ain't going to need no countries to try and make no declarations to try and help the Israelites get back in the land. We're going back there. When Yahweh Shai brings them chariots, we're going there. And if any of you heathen have got a problem, I don't think that they meet the declaration that we've made and the UN writ that we've made. And mate, that ain't rules. That's Yahweh Shai ain't gonna have to follow none of those rules. He ain't gonna have to follow none of your concepts of what's righteous to do in war. What are you on about? He ain't gonna have to follow none of that stuff that y'all are talking about, man. He ain't gonna follow none of your laws on anything. He ain't gonna. Well, that's not how a conversation works. You say a bit, then I say a bit. Yahweh Shai ain't gonna have to care about none of that stuff. He's not gonna be coming back to be questioned. So, Mr. Yahweh Shai, why did you come back to the earth? Who made you the authority to try and tell us how to live on earth? He ain't gonna have to answer no questions. He's just gonna do what he was made for. And y'all ain't gonna like what it is that he was made for, man. You ain't gonna like it. And there ain't gonna be nothing that you can do about it, which is the most beautiful thing. You don't believe we're the Israelites? Who cares? You got a problem with our doctrine? We don't care. We don't have to believe the Bible the way that you want us to believe it. We don't have to. If you think John 3:16 means God loves everybody, that's you. We don't think that. We think God hates the Edomites because he said he does. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Not just Esau, but everyone that comes from him, who are all of them the vessels of wrath, fitted or made for destruction. Simple as that. Haggai chapter 1 and verse 6. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes, because the financial system is corrupted. It's corrupt, man. There's these certain jakes that I've been hearing talking about money and stuff like that on a regular basis, and it was going to how £1,000 back in the day used to be able to get you this and that, but now that £1,000 ain't getting you that no more. That £1,000 is now more closer to £3,000 in order to do this and that. And with the pound scenario that I gave earlier, it's true. Like, it's just true, man. What somebody used to be able to have with money in the past is not the same anymore. And if Esau was given enough time, the same way how people talk about that 6-figure stuff, they'll be saying it has to be 1 million now. They were saying you have to have 1 million. And it wouldn't be no longer 6 foot. It'd be, you gotta be 8 foot. The high value man category thing would be now, you gotta be 8 foot, right? A millionaire now. Because it's, in fact, some of them already say the millionaire thing now. Your abs would have to have abs. So every single 6-pack thing that you have, if you looked in with a microscope, each ab would have to have a 6-pack itself on there. You know what I mean? It would get ridiculous down here, man. And women would still expect them guys to not want multiple wives. They would still want that. They'd still think they don't deserve have to share no man, but they'd accept that that man that they're talking about barely even exists really in reality. He only exists on a movie. You know what I mean? After some actors like, I'm gonna write a ridiculous character that women are gonna lust after, and he's gonna be so ridiculous that they're just gonna not even want real men in the world anymore. They're just gonna want the character that I've wrote. Yeah. So in the beginning, anyway, Ghost from Power. It begins when he's trying to, you know what I mean? If like women like this Ghost from Power character, but the character Ghost from Power, whatever the guy's name is, he ain't even that guy. He's acting to be him. They like these actors and that, but the actors ain't even like what he's acting. That's why he's an actor. Because he's pretending to be that. He ain't really that. You know what I mean? He's acting it. And to a certain degree, when you think spiritually, you can understand why women have these crazy standards, because the type of man that they're talking about is going to exist one day. But it's not like it's women under the new covenant that have been given a new spiritual body that are asking for this guy. No, they're dead. They're through. The women that are asking for this guy that would be what the men are gonna be like among the Israelites in the kingdom. These women that are not in the kingdom themselves right now are talking about that wanting that guy and the kind of guy basically. But he don't even exist yet because Yahweh hasn't made them exist on earth yet. They don't even exist on earth yet, the kind of women, the kind of men that women are talking about they want. I mean, the kind of men that women are talking about they want, man. And neither, to us, real talk, neither is the kind of woman that we as men want really even exist on this earth yet, man. The kind of woman that's not going to be trying to beg and seek enough attention from men all the time. But let's carry on reading. Verse 7. Thus say, if you have hosts, consider your ways. Go up to the mountain and bring wood and build the house, and I will take pleasure in it, and I will be glorified, saith Yahweh. You look for much, and lo, it came to naught. And that's what Jake does in this world, man. Like there's every single different ways under the sun that Jake are trying to want to get the bag. That's got holes in it, by the way, like it says in the scriptures. But then, because Esau's ever changing the financial system, it's like it's got holes in it spiritually, and you can never really get that standard of living that you want to have. You can never really find peace because he's ever changing the money. He's trying to stop you from being able to grow your own crops, right? But then he'll damage the crops that he's given you to make them damage your health. But then you can't grow your own. He's trying to damage the balance of relationships, which the balance of relationships is technically, according to what people might say in this world, it would seem unbalanced, but a man's supposed to be able to have as many wives as he wants to have. But by saying that a man's supposed to be with only one woman, you're changing the balance of how Yahweh made the balance be. That's Yahweh's balance, a man having multiple wives. That's Yahweh's balance. That's what he says is balanced. It don't matter what we think is balanced. He says it's balanced for a man to have multiple wives, man. One man with 1,000 women is not unbalanced in the Lord's eyes. But one woman with 1,000 men is an abomination. It's unbalanced. It's wickedness. Because Yahweh said that's the way how it is. You look from verse 9, you look for much, and lo, it came to little. And when ye brought it home, I did blow upon it. It's ever changing, man. Everyone's chasing their tail, ever chasing that wealth. But it's never going to be caught, man. And then you'll have a person that makes 50,000 a year, looking down on somebody that makes 25. But then the person that makes 50 is looked down on by the person that makes 75. But then the person that makes 75 is looked down on by the person that makes 100. But then the person that makes 100 is looked down on the person that makes 125, 150. But then the person that makes 150 is looked down on the person that makes 250. And the person that makes 250 looks down on all the people that I previously mentioned. But he's looked down on by the person that makes 500,000. And he's looked down on by the millionaire. But then the millionaire is looked down on by the multi-millionaire. Someone that might have 5 million. But then the person that's got 5 million He's looked down on by somebody that's got 8 figures. But then the 8-figure person, he's looked down on by the person that's got 9 figures. And so on and so forth. But then most of the people that, even some of the people that might be millionaires, might not even own a house to a certain degree, man. They might not even own a house. Or the quality of a house that they can own will be changed because of Esau changing the balances and the making divers measures. And like I gave the scenario earlier with how, imagine if they just changed the tape measure or they changed the scale. Now when you burn out women that weigh 200 pounds, it would be a woman that's a lot lighter. So then the women would have to now be weighing even less than they are. Otherwise, they're going to be considered more pounds. And women that are 200 pounds now, under the new tape measure rules, might be 250 pounds. But that's just how ridiculous that sounds. That's what Esau's did with their food and with the clothing and all of these things. He did that with them things, man. He's done that. But people don't understand it. They look at it like, no, nah, but it has to go like that. Why does it have to? If they didn't destroy the crops and was following the laws of Yahweh, the earth would produce the resources necessary to make those things in abundance. But they don't understand that because they're demons and they're wicked. But really, they do understand it. And they want the earth. They've only been given power to destroy the earth, man. They wasn't given power to rule the earth as kings in righteousness. That's what the Israelites have been given power in. Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2 is pretty much the complete opposite of the red horse that I mentioned in Revelation, the 6th chapter, man, where they've been given power to destroy the earth and all that. Is pretty much the complete opposite. Deuteronomy 4 as well is the complete opposite of Revelation 6, where it says in Deuteronomy 4 that the Israelites are going to be, surely these great people is a wise and understanding people. In fact, let me get this, because I've been ranting my mouth off in this video a whole bunch. Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Haven't I been mourning in this video? Haven't I been bunning out how Esau runs his financial situation corruptly? Yes, I have been. Right? The way how this guy rules, he's stupid. But then he is stupid though. And he sold his birthright and he ain't never getting it back neither. Haggai chapter 1 and verse 9. You looked for much, and lo, it came to little. And when you brought it home, I did blow upon it. Why, saith Yahweh of hosts? Because of mine house that is waste, and ye run every man unto his own house. Therefore, the heaven over you is stayed from dew, and the earth is stayed from her fruit, because we sinned and went off. That's why the financial system is like this. That is even a punishment toward us, man. That's a punishment to the children of Israel. We're getting jacked up for our sins, man. Even in that regard. And it's to the point, like I've said the multiple wives thing in this video a few times, right? But it's to the point even in this world, right, where a man which it doesn't really say in the scriptures that there's a financial requirement you have to be able to have multiple wives. It don't say that, right? It doesn't say that there's a certain amount a man has to make to where he's worthy of multiple wives. But I'm just going to run with that for a second. It's to the point in this world where even a man that is doing good for himself, he might have a company, might be a smart guy, and that he's clearly shown himself to be a good father and all of this stuff. And you will never see none of these wives that understand that their man is a good man under those particular categories and standards. You would never see them say, honey, look what I've did for you because you're such a good man. I found you another wife. I saw when we was out the last time that you looked and was checking out a woman's behind, checking on that booty of hers, right? I know you like it when it's round on a woman, right? So I've found a woman that looks exactly the same as that woman that you was looking at before. And I've asked her a question. I gave her an interview already when you wasn't looking. And I asked her what kind of woman she was and that. And I even tested to see if she could cook. right? I tested and I tasted the food for you to see if the food standards meet the food standards that you like. And out here, honey, I think you should have this as another wife of yours. You would never see that in this world. You'll never see that. I don't think, unless it's happening secretly that we don't know about anywhere, but I don't think that that's happening. I don't see that as a thing that's happening out here, man. You'd have the woman tell a man that he ain't doing it though, but you wouldn't see her actually help him do it. Even a man that financially could be able to so-called take care of the women, and that could even hire carers and cleaners and all these things that they don't even have to do nothing. You wouldn't even see the women happily be down for that. And then the women in this world are so wicked that the women that do try and somewhat so-called pick a woman for the man, and that's because that's the woman that they want to deal with themselves. They want to be there, or do it, or allow him to do it as long as I can join in. What you on about? You're a demon. You ain't supposed to be doing nothing with no woman. You're going off. What are you talking about? Like there's a multitude of ways how the balances of this world are off. A relationship is meant to be a man and a woman, but a man can have multiple wives. So when a woman says that she's in a relationship, it's not even supposed to come into your mind that it's a woman like her, because that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a man and a woman, and they become one flesh. So every single woman would be becoming flesh. If it's a man with multiple wives, there'll be multiple women that are becoming one flesh with that one man. They're joined onto him when he takes their virginity. They become joined onto that man. And that's why, in order for a woman to lawfully be able to deal with another man, that man's supposed to have been dead. He's not supposed to even be alive anymore, because she was joined to him. So when he leaves the earth, that joining, that connection is broken now. But this world don't know nothing about that. And neither does it care to know. It wants to just be wicked. Verse 11, and I called for a drought upon the land, and upon the mountains, and upon the corn, and upon the new wine, and upon the oil, and upon that which the ground bringeth forth, and upon men, and upon men, and upon cattle, and upon all the labor of the hands. So Yahweh jacked up the whole society. This is Yahweh's doing, man. And this scripture is talking about a time in the past, but it's also can be applied to now, because it's happening now, is it not? Is it not happening now? And let me get Revelation 6. Yahweh just jacked up all the things, a man's work of his hands, right? Don't bring in as much as it used to bring him. And then when a man's killed up his spine, right, from doing all that hard work, no one don't care. They don't care if your lumbar spine's curved out, man. They don't care if your whole L5 and L4 and L3 diffuse, and you just got, and the L2 as well, and you ain't got nothing left but an L1. Hey, Salakia, they don't care about none of that. They don't care if your whole spinal cord just loses, if all the cervical, all the thoracic, and all the lumbar just fuse into one spine bone, man, and you can't even turn left or turn right. They don't care. You ain't they care. They were like, who's next? And they'll be looking at a way that an AI robot Android can do the job. Well, Android don't complain. That's what they'll be thinking. An Android don't need a lunch break. It just does what I told it to do. That's what they'll be thinking. Revelation chapter 6 and verse 4. And there went out and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. And one of the ways that they've took peace from the earth is allowing people to not be able to even own nothing, man. Your own, and that's why they got this saying, your own nothing can be happy. And that part of the reason why you'd be happy is because they'd slap a karagma in your head and turn the happiness settings up. So you'd go in there, I'm not happy about this. I'm upset. I ain't got no house anymore. I ain't got this. I ain't got that. I ain't got no wife. And then they'll just be like, blim, 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 blim. Turn your happiness ratings up. You ain't gonna notice anymore. Oh, I don't even remember what I was complaining about. Oh, everything's lovely. Everything's grand. Oh, isn't it great? Isn't it great? I'm so happy that they made us stop eating real food and they made us eat bugs. I'm glad now that we're eating moths. and these plant burgers. You know what I mean? That's what they want to do to you. You want to slap a karagma in your head and just turn your settings off, man. Turn your spiritual set. Unbelieve all the believers in God. I believe in God. I believe in God. They want to just have a karagma in your head, turn the God settings off. Doo! Now you ain't know nothing about, you don't even look up to the sky no more. That's what they want to be able to do, man. I'm hungry. I'm tired. No, not anymore. You're not. Beep, beep, beep. Turn up the settings, mate. They want to just be able to turn you on, turn you off. And I suggest this, man. Hey, there's a new season of Black Mirror, right? There's a 7th season now, and I've been watching some of it. It's pretty good, man. And we just watch some of it, man, and you can see some of the bugged out ways in which Esau would want to use the karagma. You're able to see some of the crazy ways that this lunatic that's ruling on the earth would want to give people the karagma, man. This complete lunatic guy that's ruling. You'd be able to see some of the ways in which he'd want to use the karagma, right? And I'm going to end the video there, man, because the part of the way how Esau has destroyed his earth is financially as well, man. It's not even just to do, the woman thing's one problem. The health thing's another problem, but the financial thing is just another way in which this guy has completely destroyed things, man. And a lot of people, they don't even consider that, they're just always making excuses for it. But he's completely wicked. Shalom to the nation of Israel. Shalom.